A wooden sword clatters across the deck. Cadet Hayato sprawls on his back, coughing dust.
Get up. Or are you finally admitting you don't belong on a marine ship?
The other cadets look away. No one helps him. This is the third time this week.
200 years dead, and I am still watching fools play at warriors.
In his previous life, his name was Veilthor, the pirate king whose fleet swallowed horizons. He fell to a marine captain named Naomi, her blade severing his reign and his life.
Now I mop floors and stay quiet, but that cadet, he has a stubborn light.
After the spar, Hayato sat alone near the lockers, head bowed, fists still clenched.
Perhaps this dull era could use a little chaos. Just a nudge.
And in the shadow of the mast, the deckhand's hidden eye glowed a faint, ancient crimson. That morning, Ren's mop painted circles on the deck, while his memory relived Veilthor's last conquered horizon. Liam's boot found Hayato's chest. The cadet gasped while laughter echoed around the deck.
He reminds me of a younger me, before power curdled into arrogance. An unpolished blade is still a blade. I might as well sharpen this one and see what cuts.
That night, in a cramped supply closet, Ren penned a note by candlelight. The note read, "Faint low, pivot left, let the opening reveal itself. Trust your opponent to overcommit." He slipped it into Hayato's locker under the sliver of a dying moon. Dawn found Hayato staring at the paper, suspicious but curious.
Who would waste ink on a lost cause like me? Unless it's some cruel trap.
From the shadows, Ren leaned on his mop. The first ripple in a still sea had been made.
Trap or not, I have nothing left to lose. I'll try this drill.
That evening, as the sun bled orange over the sea, Hayato practiced alone. Faint low, pivot left, trust the opening. The next sparring session, Liam stepped into the circle with his usual swagger. Hayato's wooden sword dipped in a feint. Liam lunged forward, and Hayato pivoted, Liam's blade slashing through empty air. In the split second of overcommitment, Hayato's countertap struck Liam's wrist. The wooden sword spun from his grip.
Did Hayato just disarm Liam?
He did, without a wasted motion.
It worked. The note wasn't a joke. But who would give me a secret like this?
No way that idiot learned that on his own. Someone's feeding him tricks. That's cheating.
From the shadows, Ren's mop stilled. A faint smile traced his lips as the first whisper of suspicion took root. Over the following days, notes appeared after every night watch. Each one held a piece of a forgotten art. The second note read, "When the ship rocks, use the tilt. Let gravity be your ally, not your enemy." Hayato applied the advice mid-spar, sliding under a high slash and using the deck's roll to unbalance his opponent. His wins stacked up, cadets whispered. But now some sounded almost reverent. A senior officer, Warrant Officer Voss, intercepted Hayato after training. "You were worthless last month. Who's your accomplice?"
No one, sir. I just started practicing differently.
Voss's glare shifted to Ren, who was mopping nearby. "You, Deckhand. You are always lurking. Seen anything?"
I mop. Floors don't talk. Neither do I.
That evening, Naomi sat in her cabin, 2 notes spread before her. The elegant script, the intimate knowledge of ship combat. Something colder stirred in her memory. She traced a finger over the faint low, pivot left phrase. It was almost verbatim, a technique Veilthor had used 2 centuries ago. That night, Ren penned another note, cold and precise, a scalpel aimed at pride. The note read, "Liam leads with his right shoulder. Let him commit, then step inside his guard. He won't see the disarm coming." Dawn, Hayato found the note. His hands trembled. This wasn't general skill, but a blueprint to break a specific man. At midday, Liam stormed into the mess hall, finger leveled at Hayato. The clatter of bowls stopped.
You've been hiding behind scraps of paper. Fight me now, no tricks. Let's see what you really are.
The challenge couldn't be refused. On deck, a circle formed. Even the officers watched from the gallery. Liam lunged, right shoulder low. Hayato stepped inside the guard, caught the wrist, twisted. Liam's sword clattered. Liam stumbled back, face crimson. The deck fell silent.
That was impossible. Hayato, what have you become?
From the shadows, Ren watched. The rumor had a name now, the Ghost Mentor, and Hayato had never looked more alone. The next morning, Captain Naomi walked the lower decks, asking quiet questions of the crew about the mysterious notes.
She's circling, like a shark that remembers the taste of a specific blood.
Before the investigation could tighten, a challenge arrived, an elite cadet from the flagship sent to test the Solaris rookies. The visitor, a broad-shouldered cadet named Vance, towered over Hayato and dismissed him with a single glance. That night, Ren scratched out a new note in the dark, a desperate gambit for a desperate fight. The note read, "Let him commit to a heavy downward cut, sidestep late and let his own momentum pull him off balance. Strike the back of the knee." At the spar, Vance's first cut came down like a maul. Hayato sidestepped, a hair too slow. The blade grazed his shoulder, but Vance's momentum carried him past. Hayato's counter swung at the knee, and the giant crashed to the deck. Naomi watched from the quarterdeck. When Hayato rose, bleeding and breathless, her eyes shifted to the deckhand with the mop.
That woman isn't looking for a ghost. She's hunting a corpse that refused to stay buried.
Below deck, Liam and two cadets cornered Hayato near the lockers, their shadows stretched like blades.
I'll give you one chance. Hand over those notes, or we'll take them off your unconscious body.
3 against 1. The close quarters drill from the third note. Use the walls, stay low, might work, but I'll take hits.
They rushed him. Hayato pivoted, using a locker as a shield, but a fist cracked his ribs before he could fully dodge. In a shadowed corner, Ren leaned on his mop, watching. He did not move.
A blade learns sharpness from the stone, not from the sheath.
Liam charged again. Hayato sidestepped, grabbed his collar, and slammed him into the bulkhead. The other cadet fled. Hayato slumped against the lockers, temple bleeding, breath ragged. Footsteps approached. Sarah and Kaito.
Hayato, speak to me. Who cornered you? Your head is covered in blood.
Kaito ripped a strip from his uniform for a bandage. Sarah's eyes burned with a promise of retaliation. Captain Naomi summoned Lieutenant Cross to the quarterdeck. Shadow Cadet Hayato. Every conversation, every scrap of paper before sunset, Cross delivered a fresh note to Naomi's cabin. Still crisp with deck salt, she placed it beside a yellowed page from the archives, Vale Thor's own orders, 2 centuries old. The slant of the letters, the pressure of the pen, the cadence of command, identical.
Vale Thor is on my ship. He's been teaching a boy to fight.
That night, Ren slipped a shorter note into Hayato's locker, his fingers quick as a pickpocket's. The note read, "Eyes are on you from above. Burn this." At dawn, Hayato found it. He touched it to a candle in the mess, watching the words vanish into ash. His hands swept the ash away. The ghost had warned him, but at what cost to them both? Above, on the quarterdeck, Naomi's cold gaze never left the young cadet. In a narrow corridor, Captain Naomi stepped into Ren's path. Her shadow swallowed his.
You've been here longer than most deckhands. Do you ever miss the old seas?
The old seas were wet. The current ones are also wet. I don't get attached.
Before she could press, Lieutenant Cross burst in, a blood-stained parchment trembling in his fist. The dispatch read, "Outpost 7 destroyed. A serpent coiled around a crown was burned into the gate. The second pirate king, Darius, has returned."
So, the world still breeds monsters. Old ones, new ones, and I'll hunt them all.
Naomi's fingers tapped the hilt of her sword. In her mind, a new hunt was already taking shape.
Darius, another king who never bothered to die properly. This could complicate my quiet retirement.
Without another word, Naomi strode away, her coat snapping like a war banner. Ren was left with the lingering weight of unspoken accusations.
She knows. But for now, I am a lesser evil than a king who wants to sink the world.
That evening, a Marine ensign found Ren in the supply closet and delivered the order he'd been expecting. Inside, Naomi sat behind her desk, fingers templed 2 centuries of sea war in her cold blue eyes.
I know who you are, Vale Thor. You can drop the Deckhand Act.
That name's been collecting dust. But you already knew that when you sank your blade into my chest.
I didn't just recognize you. The ritual that pulled your soul into that body, it was my design.
She brought me back. Not for revenge, but as a tool. I've been her puppet this entire time.
The second pirate king, Darius, escaped the original war. I needed a weapon forged by a pirate king's mind. You were never just a deckhand.
So the notes, the training, you let it happen. Even pushed it along. The cadet was your true experiment.
Hayato was chosen to receive that knowledge. But I never expected you to mentor him yourself. It worked far better than I planned.
Ren let out a low, rusty laugh, the first genuine one in 2 lifetimes. You are completely insane. I am in. That night, Ren wrote a note that held no encouragement, only a brutal regimen. The note read, 3 hours of footwork before dawn, no rest until each pattern is fluid, then spar with shadows until you collapse. Hayato found the note and his jaw tightened. He hadn't slept well in days.
This is insane, but I'll do it. If this is what it takes to reach him.
Before dawn, his footwork scraped the deck, steady as a metronome. Other early risers watched in disbelief.
He's been at this for hours. What is driving him so hard?
By midday training, Hayato dismantled 3 opponents in succession, his movements sharper than anyone had seen. But when the session ended, he leaned against the mast, chest heaving, vision blurring.
The whetstone grinds away. He's breaking through his limits, but also breaking himself.
The other cadets no longer whispered. They stared, a mixture of awe and fear. The ghost mentor's legend grew darker. Naomi called for volunteers to scout Outpost 7. Hayato stepped forward before the echo died.
I'll go. I need to see the enemy's mark with my own eyes.
That night, a final note appeared in his locker, not a drill, but a warning. The note read, "In fog, sound betrays before sight. Retreat if you hear 3 overlapping heartbeats." He tucked it inside his vest and joined the launch party at first light. Outpost 7 was a graveyard. The serpent crown sigil scorched into the gate, still smoking.
The dying pirate clutched my wrist and rasped. The old king walks again. Then his hand went slack. He said, "Old king, like a prayer. This is beyond me."
The scouts returned with intel, but Hayato brought back a shadow colder than sea mist. Ren watched Hayato stare at the horizon. The game had just turned deadly. Hayato spent his shore leave in the Solaris's dusty archive, unrolling parchment older than the ship's keel. A yellowed illustration of the pirate king Vaelthor stared back, wild hair, twin crimson eyes. 2 centuries dead.
That stance. The pivot left. The faint low. I've seen this in the notes. It's identical.
He spread his collection of notes across the table, comparing each tactic to historical accounts. The patterns were undeniable.
The ghost mentor isn't some old marine. He's a legend, or a ghost himself.
That afternoon, Hayato found Ren mopping a quiet corridor. A single lantern flickered between them.
You've been on this ship a long time, right? Ever hear stories about old pirate kings?
Pirate kings? I heard they had bad fashion sense and worse luck. Why?
No reason. Just the old ways have a way of coming back. Like they never really died.
Ren chuckled, but as Hayato walked away, his mop paused. That boy was getting too close. An officer with a grudge pinned a falsified report to the mainmast. Hayato carried a serpent crown charm at Outpost 7. The charm was a replica of the second Pirate King's sigil, a serpent coiled around a crown. The accusation was airtight. 2 Marine sentries seized Hayato on the deck, irons snapping shut before he could protest.
A serpent charm? I've never owned such a thing. Someone is rearranging the truth.
Naomi watched from the quarterdeck, her jaw set. Orders from Marine High Command forbade her interference.
If I openly defend him, they'll strip my command and execute him anyway. I must find a crack in this farce.
In the shadows of the lower deck, Ren's knuckles whitened around his mop handle.
They'll hang him at dawn. After all that training, he'll die a scapegoat. Not on my watch.
Sarah and Kaito were shoved back by guards as they tried to reach Hayato. Their protests were swallowed by the drumroll of a court-martial call. As dusk fell, Ren stood alone on the empty deck, the crimson light of his hidden eye seeping through his bangs. Tomorrow, he would have to break his silence. The court-martial convened in the Solaris's wardroom, Hayato in irons before a panel of stern officers. The doors creaked open. A deckhand in a beige apron walked in, mop left outside, and silence fell.
The court recognizes a civilian expert on pirate artifacts. Deckhand Ren, step forward.
This charm, painted tin. A real serpent crown sigil would be carved from graveseed driftwood, never cast metal. The scratches on the back are tool marks from a cheap file, not pirate etching. And the rust, salt water from Outpost 7, doesn't corrode this alloy in 2 days. This was planted. The cadet fought pirates. He never colluded. The evidence is a forgery.
The officer who had pinned the report turned pale. Murmurs erupted. The judges conferred briefly. Then the gavel fell. Cite the officer for perjury. Release Cadet Hayato immediately. Ren slipped out before the applause, his mop forgotten against a pillar. On deck, he sat on a coil of rope, the sea breeze cooling his face. Hayato found him at the ship's rail, the trial's relief still trembling in his hands.
You knew that charm was fake before you touched it. Because those notes, that was you. You are the ghost mentor.
Fine. I wrote them. I am a historian. Spent my life reading old pirate memoirs. That's all.
His eyes didn't match his story. A historian doesn't move like he does when nobody's watching.
From the quarterdeck, Naomi watched the 2 figures at the rail. The final piece of her scheme was falling into place.
I don't care what you call yourself. You saved my life in that courtroom. So, thank you.
Just don't make me testify again. Courtrooms make my feet ache.
The next morning, a Marine courier tacked a proclamation to the mainmast. The all-fleet tournament would commence in 3 weeks.
The tournament. If I win, I can demand to meet my mentor. And then I'll have my answers.
Ren, in his usual shadow, watched Hayato accept the challenge. The quiet deckhand had set a storm in motion. The night before the opening bout, a final slip of paper waited in Hayato's locker. You already have everything. Trust yourself. The all-fleet tournament dawned under a pale sky. The arena packed with Marines from every squadron. Match after match, Hayato cut through opponents like a rip current. Feints, counterstrikes, disarms that left the crowd gasping.
He's reading every move before it happens. Ghost mentor or not, I've never seen anything like this.
In the final, a giant from the flagship stepped into the ring, a great sword humming with brutal weight. The giant lunged. Hayato sidestepped, let the sword bite dirt, and struck the back of the knee. The same trick Veilthor had used 2 centuries ago. The giant crashed. The arena erupted. Hayato stood, chest heaving, eyes burning, but before the trophy could be lifted, his legs buckled. Exhaustion crashed into him like a wave.
Wait, before they take me out of here, I claim the victor's right. Bring me the one who wrote those notes.
An hour later, a Marine nurse led Ren through the infirmary door, his mop still in hand. The room smelled of liniment and sweat. Hayato sat propped against the bulkhead, bandages winding across his ribs. His eyes were weary but clear. Ren leaned the mop against the wall, folding his arms. He opened his mouth to speak.
You don't have to explain. I already know. You are Veilthor, the Pirate King.
Ren's frame went rigid. The easy half-smile evaporated.
Captain Naomi told me on my first day aboard. She said your notes would come, and that I should follow them. I didn't know you'd be a deckhand, but after the trial, I was sure. The way you dismantled that evidence, only the real Veilthor could have known.
2 centuries of guile, and a boy in a sickbed has shattered me with the truth.
Then, unexpectedly, Ren laughed, a rusty, genuine laugh that rose from the hull of his chest.
You are not angry?
Angry. I haven't laughed like this in 200 years.
The captain said a pirate king, raised by marines, might produce a hunter, unlike any other. I think she was right. Will you teach me openly now? No more shadows.
Ren glanced at the mop propped by the door, his constant, silent companion. Then he reached for it, fingers curling around the familiar wood.
You are completely mad, both of you. But, fine. I've mopped these decks too long to let them sink.
You really love that mop.
It's the only thing on this ship that hasn't lied to me.
Outside the porthole, the first stars of evening pricked the sky. The room held a strange peace.
Rest up, cadet. Tomorrow, I'll show you how a real pirate king throws a mop.
And so, in a cramped infirmary on a marine ship, the pirate king and his unwitting student became something else. The infirmary door swung open, and Captain Naomi stepped inside, her coat still dusted with sea wind.
Darius has been spotted off the Grave Sea. He'll reach marine territory in weeks, not months. Your tournament victory bought us time, but not much.
So, I was just a speed training tool for your cadet. And here I thought you enjoyed my mop artistry.
But what can we do? I am still recovering, and the fleet isn't ready.
With Hayato as my sword, and Veilthor's mind as the whetstone, we can intercept Darius before he reaches the capital. This was always the plan.
Fine, fine. I'll keep sharpening him. But next resurrection, pick a better body. This one gets back aches.
Hayato looked between his captain and the pirate king, an improbable alliance, yet it felt sturdier than steel. Outside the porthole, the crew of the Solaris went about their duties, unaware that 3 of their own were already at war. Naomi placed a weathered logbook on the bedside table. Darius's known routes and strengths compiled by her own hand. Ren's hidden eye glowed as he scanned the pages. The old pirate king was going to war again, but this time on a marine ship. 3 days later, under a high sun, the deck of the Solaris hummed with new voices. Hayato stood before a dozen rookie cadets, his voice carrying the same cadences Ren had once written in candlelit notes.
Faint, low, pivot, left. Trust the opening. It's not about strength. It's about reading intent.
A blushing cadet attempted the pattern, stumbling, and Hayato gently corrected his stance. Behind him, Liam, Sarah, and Kaito watched with something close to pride. Even Liam's scowl had softened.
He's become a teacher. Faster than I ever did.
Ren's mop paused. A rare, unguarded smile pulled at his lips, not the smirk of a pirate king, but the pride of a craftsman. His hidden eye flickered, a faint crimson glow beneath his bangs, but no one noticed. He dipped the mop back into the bucket. The deck still needed scrubbing, but for a moment, the ghost mentor was simply content. That night, the sea turned restless. Lightning spidered across a distant storm front. Ren stood alone at the taffrail, the mop resting beside him, no longer a tool but an old companion. In the dark glass of his hidden eye, a reflection shimmered, a marine armada, sails full, Hayato at the bow. Beyond them, a tattered serpent crown flag writhed on the horizon, as if challenging the coming storm.
So, Darius, you finally show your colors. Good. The sea loves a fool's errand.
He picked up the mop, spun it once like a staff. The same motion a younger Veilthor had used on 1,000 battlefields. The Solaris sailed on, the crew asleep, unaware that a dead man had just decided to hunt a king. Ren's crimson eye gleamed, twin stars of a legacy that refused to stay buried. The sea was not safe. But then, neither was he. And